Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session. Today, we're going to be talking about intelligent experience and how to transform learner and institutional success. So today with me, there is Annabell Busch. Annabell, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, my name is Annabell Busch. I'm a senior solutions engineer at Blackboard and now Anthology since early 2013, working with our solutions. So I already belong to the furniture of the company. Before that, I was responsible for the e-learning infrastructure and the administration system of the University of Vienna for nearly a decade, already working with early solutions of Blackboard that the uni ran back in the day. The Uni Vienna is a large-scale organization with 100,000 students. So whenever something does not work, you are responsible for the infrastructure, you know first. So you can call me a survivor. The Uni Vienna had dropped the Blackboard solution in 2008. And as an inwardly still faithful evangelist, I joined the Blackboard company in 2013 because I was really convinced by the solutions. And by the way, the University of Vienna today is a customer again. So with that, back to Nico.
Thank you very much, Annabell. So I am the regional vice president for Europe and Africa at Blackboard. I have 15 years of experience in the edtech world. I've been part of Oracle, managed to escape after 8 years and moved to Blackboard. On a personal note, I'm a father of 3, which makes me also a taxi driver during the weekend. Very quickly, I would like to talk to you about the company, Blackboard, and it's now part of a larger group called Anthology. Very briefly, you may have heard about us as Blackboard, the leading company in the virtual learning environment field. And we recently combined with Anthology to become the largest edtech ecosystem in the world, serving 150 million users over 80 countries. And that gives us access to a significant amount of data, which is going to be one of the primary subjects we're going to be touching today. Just for you to understand, Anthology definition is a collection of the best. That's the best way to say it. And so we're in a unique position today to offer the virtual learning environment, as we always do with Blackboard, but also something called iModule, which is a top player in engagement and the alumni field. We also have Campus Lab, who offer fundamental add-on to the student experience. And then finally, something called Campus Management, which comes with 30 years of experience and is the fastest growing student information system in the market today. So that gives us a large ecosystem to touch about technology and of course to touch about the data. But actually, the reason why we hear so much about the data is because today, data and technology are eating the world. Most of the industries are relying almost exclusively on algorithms that are fed with data, which are provided by technology themselves. In Occidental countries, the average daily time spent on screen is plus 10 hours. And the top 4 largest companies in the world are actually technology companies. So at some point in 2022, there will be 97 trillion gigabytes. So that number is quite difficult to articulate, but if 1 byte will be 1 millimeter, 1 gigabyte will be 10 kilometers, and 1 trillion gigabyte will make you make 25,000 times the cycle of the world, which is a huge number. Today, each single human generates 1.7 megabytes of data. And this clearly accelerated with the pandemic and the remote working, creating also unprecedented challenges for humanity and gaps within population between the white collar and the blue collars, for example. I think the last stats I would like to share when it comes to data is that 92% of the world's data has been generated in the last 2 years. And this is accelerating at very, very fast pace, which means that stat is here to stay. And the more data, we're going to collect more and more data over the years. So now let's move to one of my least favorite thing in the world, which is actually shopping. So when you go to a shop, the experience is diverse and unpredictable, right? So you have some challenging arising, you have transport, how do I get there? Where do I park? Today, when you go into the shop, like, do they have my size? How would I search for the right items? Is there a problem with the price tag? Is the price correct? And then when I'm finally sorted out, I need to queue and wait in order to get what I need. If we compare that to another experience that has been happening quite fast during the pandemic, which is Amazon. So was Amazon extremely successful just because of the lockdown and the pandemic we just came across? Or was it successful for other reasons? And I kind of feel that people still choose Amazon regardless of the fact that you can travel or you cannot travel for many reasons over retailer. But why is that? The big difference is that the online shopping experience is in general better than the traditional experience. They know who I am, they know what I like, they know what I do. They know where I live, they know how to get me things, they know what people like me like. They leverage the data from the community so that I get a kind of quality certification that create a sense of trust. They operate at my speed, not their speed. If you contrast that with traditional stores, I'm anonymous, they don't know who I am, they don't know what other people like me like, and I don't get that sense of trust when it comes to the quality of the product that I'm gonna get. I just need to take it like this, but I don't get aggregated information that help me to make the right decision. So a question that has been in play for many years and in many countries is actually, will Amazon destroy the retail industry? There is a risk that it will destroy the retail industry, of course. But yet, what we've seen is that currently, Amazon runs 89 stores, retail, physical stores. So that's quite paradoxal. And so what is different from what Amazon is doing and the other retailers are doing? Very simple. They apply the similar practice coming from technology and data. They know who you are, they know what you like, they know what people like you like, and you are in control because you don't need to check out the same way as we did in normal retail. So there is a good understanding that Amazon is actually not killing retailers. Amazon is just showing other retailers how to do it properly. And that's because they understand the need of technology and data across all industries. So now let's step out of the retail industry and talk about one specific industry we're in, or one specific subject we're in, which is the education. So that picture is very similar to the one we've seen with the shopping experience, right? We have a model that worked, that still works, and is also necessary for many reasons. When we prevent students to go in their physical school, they feel at some point that it's not normal and something is not working well, and that impacts their motivation. And there are also some very similar concerns to the one that I just described with Amazon, in the sense that, will technology kill industry? And I guess that the understanding we have is that, what if technology and data was not about destroying, but revolutioning the traditional teaching and learning experience? And we trust that education is changing.
Yes, thank you, Nicolas. Education is changing, and much of that is being forced on us by external pressures. But the most innovative institutions are actually getting out in front of that change and disrupt themselves, embracing change as a constant process. And we have seen this process play out in areas like healthcare and retail, as Nico just showed. And we want to help the institutions out there drive that type of change. As an education technology partner, we do not only have to empower our clients with the best solutions in the industry, but we also have the responsibility to continue to innovate and help you drive the change with software and services that help you be successful. But we're doing this through a bit of a different approach, which is our so-called EdTech platform that is helping us drive innovation faster and further than others. We are also building on top of it a comprehensive solution portfolio of capabilities. And this comprehensive EdTech platform then sustainably helps broaden those capabilities in a tightly integrated fashion. So we often call it one face to the customer. The beauty of this is that the benefits of this approach will be compounded as we continue to innovate. And it starts with a commitment and a focus to education, and more specifically to teaching and learning. So this is our main focus, but it manifests itself in the breadth and depth of what we're doing with our platform. And with that, I would like to quickly introduce you to the concept of a platform. What is a platform in the education space and in the technology space combined? A group of technologies. So a platform is a group of technologies that are used as a base upon which applications, processes, and capabilities are developed. And evolving technology and new functional elements will expand and develop within that platform over time. So around the world, several visions for an integrated EdTech learning environment have been designed. And this is maybe the one, or maybe one of the most familiar ones. It has been invented by the EDUCAUSE Learning Consortium. So these frameworks are useful, but they also highlight the key challenges that we are facing today. And this is what I want to showcase you in that graphic. So as you can see here, for example, people have talked about the concept of lifelong learning for a long time, but the education industry has moved far too slowly to enable it, and even less on a global basis. So our theory is, and our statement is, that current methods of integrating disparate software products were unsustainable. So what you can see here is a so-called next generation digital learning environment, but you have silos, LMS, assessment applications, adaptive learning applications, data warehouse. So the current methods of integrating those software products were really unsustainable. Open and interoperable does not mean that they are integrated. It means that they can maybe more easily be integrated, but you still have to do the work. So this can lead to a spider web of point-to-point integrations, and institutions formerly would still have needed to sort out the messy bits that are described here as the little blue dots here. So we need to connect the dots. It does not scale. And this is where the EdTech industry comes in. The EdTech industry can think big and comprehensive. It can connect the dots and think globally, and it can challenge the status quo and advance technology to break down such barriers. So in other words, the great equalizer. And as we are a part of the EdTech industry, let me show you where our part in that is. So it starts with a vision, because this is our guideline for the future, our North Star, so to speak. So our vision is an inspiring and infinite world of learning without boundaries. And our mission, so this is a bit of our role. What is our role in making it happen? This is where the mission comes into play. Our mission is to provide dynamic, data-informed experiences to the global education community so that learners and educators can achieve their goals. So we're not only planning to be learner-centric, we are also educator-centric. So giving the right information at the right time to the right people. We know what they like, and we know what people like them like. So as Nico built it out. So on a comprehensive platform, a comprehensive portfolio can be built. So this is the second stage. Institutions support this journey focused on engaging students, providing learning, and operating effectively to deliver on their institution mission. And this is comprised here of the VLE, the virtual learning environment, the CRM, which is one of the main focal points of engaging students, and also, of course, operating effectively with an SIS, or a comprehensive system for administration that is tracking all the data and all the basic data in the system. Anthology is a leading education technology provider, offering over 60 SaaS products to thousands of clients in over 80 countries. So through this large global footprint, we support over 150 million learners in their educational life cycle, from K-12 via higher education to business and government agencies. And this goes through a vast portfolio of products and services, which allows us to leverage data in a very particular and comprehensive way. So we tap into the data from across the entire educational technology ecosystem to create intelligent experiences that lead to better results by supporting over 150 million users in 80 countries. So scale really matters, and product portfolio really matters. This has two dimensions. First, in unlocking the data, you can do two critical things: enhance operations to improve the systems itself, and personalize data experiences to really empower action. And these personalized data exchange variances range from engaging educators to unlock learning potential, or providing the learners the right support that they need to navigate their educational journey. So We can thus change how administrators, instructors, and learners will experience their data. The benefit of this is that intelligent experience guide action, create new opportunities for institutional administrators to achieve strategic priorities, and instructors to enhance their teaching and learners to unlock their potential. So these blended data experiences will begin to redefine the application of analytics and in higher education, with more of a focus on data and use, not just on display. So use and display, there's two different dimensions on that. And we believe in the power of these personalized and intelligent data experiences as a differentiator for Blackboard and Anthology. But what does it mean? So I've talked a lot of theory now. What does intelligent experiences mean? So on from a very crude basis, it's something like that. You know, first, a personalized experience prevents us from seeing the wood for the trees. It is about relevant information and about connecting the dots. So this is rather a more personalized experience. But intelligent experiences start early in the student life cycle. It means being picked up from where you were left off and guiding at a very early stage through the challenges of the student life cycle. So this graphic is perhaps a little exaggerated because it shows, because it's a cradle basically, but it shows the principle of how important it is to offer as early as possible a personalized and learner-centered information, which leads to intelligent experiences. And this leads us to one of the biggest challenges that we are facing at the moment. It is a global challenge when it comes to services in EdTech. So bringing this into the broader perspective of operations and personalized data experiences of different personae. So stakeholders expect real-time updates on information that impacts student success. Communication is complex due to evolving communication preferences, endless distribution channels on different kinds of social networks, for example, and multiple information owners. And there's multi-layered and unmet needs. They can cause a strain really on administration. I've been there, I've lived through that, maybe in different times, more than 10 years ago, but that is really a strain on administration. And this is where Blackboard and Anthology come in. So we can really support the entire student life cycle. So from the moment your learners inquire or hit the website to their advising and registration experiences, be it a traditional student or someone who has taken a baking class through distance learning, or maybe just some compliance course, all the way to the completion, we are learner focused, so you can be learner focused. And this means a better experience. So as you can see here, your personalized communications through the CRM, an easy application process through the SIS, and proactive outreach. And this really leads to deeper engagement and improved academic experiences. And at the end, you can maybe just feed them into the workforce, feed the students into the workforce, but still reach the alumni with a CRM solution set. So data are everywhere. They reside everywhere across the different systems of an organization. Your SIS, your ERP, your CRM, the course evaluation system, the accreditation system, the skill management system, the workforce solution. But through the power of the systems and the system that we provide, we are collecting and aligning that data, so and digest it to bring you insights that allow people to take attention to something more important. So insights help inform advisors when they walk students through guided pathways. Insights might make you say, hey, based on the data, we may need to open more sections of a specific compliance course, or we need to extend the hours in the tutoring center. And insights empower you to segment learners and plug them into services that are aligned to who they are and what they need based on certain points in their journey. So really guided individual pathways. And let's maybe now jump on something that is also giving you an example of that. So what is the pragmatic application of that data? What does that mean, delivering insights? Yeah? This is often a very individual story, and we would like to show you three little examples. So one is the Letterkenny Institute of Technology. The other one is the University of Law and the University of Westminster. For the Letterkenny Institute of Technology, they had really a retention issue. The University of Law needed to display external funding and needed some good reporting and the University of Westminster wanted to improve the online student experiences. So like many institutions, for example, Letterkenny needed to respond quickly to the COVID crisis and move fully online, but quickly. And they wanted to be able to view activities across a whole program rather than just at a course or module level to give it, to have a fuller picture of student engagement. They also used external tools like Turnitin that was deeply embedded in the Blackboard tool, and also wanted to understand students' levels of mobile use. And this is exactly what this is showing. So here, what they have done is, in order to make it easy for advisors, they created visual indicators of relative activity hours by the use of a simple green, amber, and red color code. And so found out a lot on student activity and could react properly whenever there were students at risk, and on a really focused basis. The next example is the University of Law. They actually saved with that intervention 50 hours of staff time per term and were able to provide all required compliance data. So they had an increasing number of degree apprenticeships, and for some of the apprenticeships, funding is provided to the institution by the funding body, and in this case, the Education and Skills Funding Agencies, the EFSA. And the University of Law needed to prove that those students were studying during the off-the-job hours, so that they really studied, that weren't working at their full-time place of employment, but were dedicated to studying, which is normally a 9 to 5 working day. And they were able to demonstrate that the institution was fulfilling their funding requirements by leveraging and personalizing those data into an intelligent experiences for the EFSA and the Ofsted inspection. So they had the data ready. But the other benefit of that was also that they could inform their program planning and curriculum review, and the study advisors themselves could have a data-informed conversation also with the students to discuss specific engagement and study challenges. So there was a threefold benefit that they had out of this. And the last example is the University of Westminster with Gunther Saunders, who is the Associate Director Digital Engagement, who needed to see which Blackboard Learn courses were not ready for the start of the new academic year. So during the pandemic in 2020, the University of Westminster acknowledged the importance of the VLE and the LMS, so the virtual learning environment. So during the summer break, they wanted to ensure that all courses were prepared for the September term, and that they had the content ready and the stuff uploaded, that the instructors were enrolled. So in order to meet that requirement, he needed information. So he needed to find out that all content was uploaded. So they just digested the information in a way to see graphically which school had met their objectives and which not. So that's just three little examples of how data can be leveraged into an intelligent experience. And of course, for the students, increasingly, also students need to make intentional decisions about how their lifelong educational journey prepares them for or advances their career. And each of those journeys is, of course, individual. The journey offers many paths to get where they want to go. But for students, choosing the best individual path can be challenging. So personalized guidance is really rare. So we'd also have to personalize that guidance. And this is why I want to show you a couple of examples as a sneak preview of what the system inherently provides to students and teachers already in order to make those data-informed decisions and in order to get those intelligent experiences. So the thing is to provide the data at the right time to the right person with a different, with a specific permission in the system and the role in the system. So personalized learning does not represent a solitary learning experience, as we have all seen. There is, of course, a place for individualized self-paced learning, but the primacy of learning as shared, collaborative, constructivist experience resides within the LMS and also within the interactions of a student. And this is often or institutions are often focused on three core areas to support institution and learner success. And I'm trying to structure this a little bit. So one is engage. So they're engaging students. Staff members are engaged in helping students to succeed by connecting them, advising them, and advancing them along that educational journey. The other point is adapt. They're providing learning experience, those teaching and learning moments that are at the core of the institution. So the most critical outcomes for the success of both the learner and the institution itself, and the mapping. Finally, they're focused on how they can operate effectively so that they optimize their services to meet the needs of the students, the faculty, and the institution itself to propel them forward in that sense. And as an institutions aspire to optimize these activities, they're oftentimes thinking about how they can connect the data, again, connect the dots from those experiences. And learner-centered institutions, they have a little different approach, and this is what I'd like to show you. So engaging, for example. So this is a screenshot of our Blackboard Learn environment of the progress tracking. So this is a course view. Progress tracking is very important for students. They need to understand where they are, where they need to go, what they need to do, and what's been completed. And Learn Ultras, which is one of our solution sets, so it's the LMS part, has smart progress tracking capabilities built in that are clearly showing the student what is happening on their course. And students can mark things as completed, as you can see here. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor. Or they will self-mark as completed if it's an activity such as an assignment submission or a test, for example. And whether navigating a traditional program or a short course, for example, this will be valuable. Another one here, for example, a discussion topic with color codes from the teacher perspective. Discussions are an important part of education. So it opens areas for staff and students to converse about different topics, news and subject information. That is really important. And they span from word counts compared to the class average, information on lexical variation, sentence complexity, and critical thinking level. So when these discussions enter a grading process, that they can become very heavy and long-winded for the instructor to mark. And here we have inline grading capabilities and statistics, as you have seen. It's also important for students to understand how they are getting on with their assessments. In Learn Ultra, for example, as you can see here on the right-hand side, the activity stream will keep students updated when marks and feedback are posted. By clicking the little nudge here, the student can quickly visit the gradebook and see what grade and feedback they have received for that assessment, for example. So again, personalized, intelligent experience. And with a wealth of data that sits behind the Blackboard platform, we're able to surface some of these directly within the user interface for instructors. So this is now the view of the instructor in the activity stream. So here, for example, we can see a nudge from the activity stream informing of the fact that some students of your class are falling behind. And one click allows for intervention and drill down. So you click here, and then that opens a graphic that shows you which students are doing well and which are not. And you can contact them directly via the platform internal notification system that will also allow to send them an email, for example. Another example, which could be put to good power in newly designed modules, is an Inline Insight to show who had opened and engaged with their assessment. So in this example of a 6-week blocks of teaching knowledge about engagement and access, so this will be key to help avoid finding out too late for intervention. So here you can see 22 hours submission time, 2 hours opened, and you see the activity timeline of the different students in the system. And this is with every single evaluation in the platform. So each evaluation that gets created in a course in the platform gets this analytic functionality. One of the last things I want to show you is an institutional overview on Blackboard Ally. So this is our accessibility solution that is deeply integrated and built in, which allows for feedback in how far as an institution is accessible. So fulfills the WCAG 2.1 AA standard of accessibility compliance. And these are the algorithms that are being checked based on the accessibility checklist of that standard. And here you can see an analysis of all courses drilled down in different departments and institutions and courses of an institution. So you would be able to click on that yellow bar here and see what document type produced the biggest issues in the system. And then you can drill down and see the different courses and compare between the severe, major, and minor issues, and then contact the respective people in the respective departments to fix that problem. In this last example, I would like to show you the grading workflow, or just a glimpse of the grading workflow. We support workflows to give efficiencies to trainers or professors. So what the system can do is analyze students' contributions, offer the instructor some key metrics, and it is completely configurable, as you can see here. He can track attendance, but it will also automatically feed in from the virtual classroom tool that is integrated with the solution. So once people are scheduling sessions and are using a virtual classroom tool, attendance will be automatically tracked within the attendance tool for the virtual classroom sessions, but also for the attendance that is tracked manually, for example. So configurable to the needs of the professor and the students. And then you can have a gradebook and attendance mapping and calculate final grades also with those synchronous sessions. With that, at Blackboard and Anthology, we are uniquely positioned with these offerings of core technologies across those critical aspects of the institutional experience. And this enables to unlock the possibilities of data and move beyond the connection of data to provide a really robust experience with the data that puts the learner at the very centerpiece, at the very heart of that process. And with that, I would like to thank you for your participation, and I hope our presentation was interesting to you. I think we're now open for questions, right?
One question that I have for you, Annabell, while we wait for the question to load, is what do you think are the primary challenges that the institutions are facing when it comes to data nowadays? What would be your take on the main challenges that they have?
Well, I think, are you talking about universities, or are you talking about a different market?
Yeah, I think university is a good example, since it aggregates to the highest volume of students, I would say, Europe-wise.
I think one of the main issues nowadays are the data silos that we have. I think universities, or many universities, still operate like the traditional retail store. So they don't have a personalized data at hand. They need to connect and integrate the systems in order to leverage the data that they have in the system. Data reside in silos, and what's really important is to bring the data together and analyze them with business intelligence. And I think that brings back that platform discussion. You need a decent and a robust platform that connects all the different data sources together in order to leverage the data and to have an output of personalized experience, because you might forget the SIS, you might forget the admission system where people are paying their tuition fees. There need to be prerequisite checks between different systems. And I think that is the biggest challenge that institutions are facing nowadays.
When it comes to individual benefits, can you break down, I would say, probably the data strategy for students, teacher, and what the institution can benefit from it?
So I think the students, they get personalized experience because they are really guided through their educational journey. You may have seen the big data wheel that we have seen. So from the first contact with the organization until the student is, I always say, fed back into the workforce, they are accompanied, they are guided, and the institution has all the data and all the tracking and activity data that the student has ever produced. So they can contact the student even after their studies and maybe assist them on finding a job, for example. So that is another point. And the instructors I've always said in education, all the administrative overhead has to be taken off instructors. And I think this is the main benefit of leveraging those data. The system is doing the work for you. And as an instructor, you can focus on the more important point, on the teaching. So on the educational aspects, but the administrative overhead is produced automatically to your persona role by the system. And for the institution, it is clear. So I can take informed decisions if I need to foster or if I get project funding for a specific university program or not. You know, so that is a very clear answer.
We hear a lot about artificial intelligence being one of the hot topic, I would say, in education. What is your take on that?
Artificial intelligence. I think artificial intelligence is I think you can always break it down to data. I think algorithms are important in order to leverage and personalize data. So this is what we do with our Blackboard solution, Blackboard Ally solution, where we tailor information into alternative formats for accessibility. So for people in need, for handicapped people, for example, but also in terms of user-centric design. So we need those algorithms and an accessibility checklist. But I think AI is just a technological advancement that we need to live with, and that is something. It's not I say everybody's only cooking with water. So this is I'm translating this back from a German proverb. And I think AI will mainly support our life into digital experience that are enhanced by technology.
I don't know if there are any questions coming from the attendees. So let's give a couple of minutes as well.
I think we have a time lag to the distribution channel, so that's a couple of seconds, so we may need to wait for the questions to come in. I think data, and informed decisions, it brings me a lot to data 4.0, So what is 4.0? What does that mean? Is my fridge ordering the milk that I need and that I have forgotten to put on a checklist, for example? I think that's just assistive technology that will assist our life, So that is something that that is just that is enhancing our daily lifestyle, and it should find a place in education.
I think so. There is one question from the chat is concerning the data and the fact that some universities feel a bit frightened about exposing their data to tech organization. So the question is very precise: is how do we manage that? What is the best approach for data protection and privacy?
Well, first off, so that's the standard sentence. So I'm German. I come from Germany. So actually, Germany is the strictest country in terms of data privacy and data protection. And I would have been surprised if that message would not have been one of the firsts in the chat or in the panel. So in terms of data privacy, of course, cloud is an issue. So we are hosting regionally. And in terms of collecting the data always belong to our clients, of course. We just leverage the data to give you informed decisions. The most important thing is maybe that data can be anonymized to specific persona groups, but the data are of course there and they are getting encrypted. So I think one of the bigger challenges and one of the paradigms with that rise of data and of that extreme, as Nico has shown in the beginning, this extreme collection of data in the last only in the last couple of years is that we need to encrypt data and to have a good end-to-end encryption in order to protect your data. And this is much more easy in a cloud and SaaS environment. than you have in your in an own self-hosted environment, for example. So you cannot there are no more silos, so you have it in one place, but this place of course needs to have strictest security measures, and so we are GDPR compliant. We host in the region. The data are encrypted. The encryption keys are not getting out, and we are running everything. Every kind of traffic runs over SSL and is hashed. So that is something I think that is becoming extremely important encryption standards.
I think on top of that, we can say that we're probably lucky by the fact that we live in countries where the administration and the governments are taking care of the data protection as well, with very strict rules, right? So to be able to operate in those countries, it is mandatory to apply some of the guidance and the regulatory aspect to it. So I think it's a balance between what the head tech can do, what security head tech can do as well, and what are the regulatory components. Overall, the whole idea is, of course, to protect the data and just use them for the right purpose and not for business or commercial purpose, obviously, or any other negative purposes. There is another question coming from the chat, which is related to the student experience. So the question is, so okay, we have all those data, we have everything that is very personalized and so on, but then what does it look like? Is it just a personalized data book that tells them what to do and when to do it, or is it something that goes beyond this?
Yeah, well, we have suggestions in place. So parts of the system will, for example, if there's a new instructor that is jumping into the system, he will get little hints and context-sensitive help that is personalized to his or her user need because he's a new user, for example. So we have personalized information based on things that the user has done in the system already, and that will give him kind of recommendations, but a lot of that is of course configurable based on the need a specific institution has. So we have done context sensitive help depending on conditions in the system and depending on the user role and the conditions of the user tracking, or so of the journey of the user in the system before. Some of this is automated, some of this can be configured and even tailored further for an institution. One thing, for example, is that, for example, the learning management system can be branded for different kinds of daughter organizations or institutes. And here you can really configure targeted messaging to different groups and personas in the system. So it will depend on what the user does in the system, but it will also depend on with what user role and what permission and what background the user comes from another system, for example, from the HR system. And this information can be fed automatically into, for example, the student experience within the LMS. So if a user will maybe not get access to a course if he hasn't paid his tuition fee or something. But once that is done, they will get access to the course. And in that course, if the system identifies that it is a new student who has never accessed the system before, he will get a screen overlay that will guide him through the different functions of the system and so on and so forth. If it's an existing user, for example, who has already submitted a couple of items in the system, he will be shown in his progress tracking, oh, here's an outstanding thing. Let me remind you of that because there's a due date on the 24th of December or whatever, you know. So that's really, it's a twofold story, and it depends on how many systems you involve for your organization, but both is possible.
Yeah, I think it's a fair comment, right? There's something like the Netflix experience I will use again. Mm-hmm. There's something like, when you start to watch a movie about action movie, you're gonna get offered some action movies as well. So that is just part of what the data can do. Of course, sometimes you need to fight against yourself to say, I want to escape from that, comfort zone where I always watch the same kind of movie somehow. The reality is that what you're gonna find on the teaching and learning online experience is very different. You're gonna get additional components related to engagement. As Annabell was mentioning, you're gonna get the little dot to tell you, well, you're late on this specific thing. But there are also extra support you may get. You're going to get visibility on where you stand. You can benchmark yourself as well to the rest of the class and so on. And that will give you also significant data in order to build your own little strategy on your teaching experience. There are also some new technology. We're talking about the artificial intelligence. you're going to find that there are some bots currently available that can help you as well to answer some key questions. Also on the teacher side, where they don't know how to do something in the platform, they're going to get some support, automated support from there. And then touching about universal design, automated formats, and so on, that is also coming from data and technology, right? So if someone feels more comfortable about hearing his history class while going for a run, he needs to be able to download from a PDF to an MP3. And that's something where technology can really help on improving the overall user experience and tidying up to the concept that we call as universal design. So while there are other question logging, maybe one thing that I would like to touch on, of course, we're still in the pandemic, but we're a bit outside of the pandemic. It's it's a little bit of a limbo. Some countries are coming back to strict restrictions. Some other are stepping out, like in the UK, for example, or France. On a general note, the drastic increase in use of solutions should have impacted as well the data aspect of it and so on. How would you consider that the pandemic accelerated the digital transformation in the countries that you've been operating in, Annabell?
Sorry, can you repeat the question once more? I had a bit of a sound in the.
Sure. How does the pandemic accelerated the digital transformation in some of the countries that you've been working on from an edtech standpoint of view?
Yeah, from an edtech standpoint of view, that was really a nudge point, actually. So actually, I got emergency calls from different universities that I was working with in the German-speaking area. So basically, I got a phone call at one night and people were asking, we have a streaming server, we built up that for our students, but it's completely overloaded and it crashed. Are there streaming solutions in the cloud? So this institution was completely unprepared for such a big load in the pandemic. So many institutions had scalability issues. Many institutions were in need for virtual classrooms, for example. So what I've done was to give some recommendations. And I think within 2 weeks, the institution had, on the one hand, a cloud-based streaming solution in place, so a very rushed decision, but also a virtual classroom tool in place, because many institutions, at least in the German-speaking area, they were using self-hosted virtual classroom solutions. And with large sessions, for example, with 2,000 students in study entrance phases, for example, entering classes, this has not scaled. So there are many institutions who needed big classrooms, so virtual classrooms that were hosting more than 20, 25, 200 people. And that was really something that could only be scalable in the cloud. So that is really where elastic cloud computing comes in. And I've had a couple of those issues. And these solutions were implemented fast in a very rushed way and persist now. I've been talking to a couple of members from Centers for Teaching and Learning and with a couple of CIOs in the German-speaking area. And they have said, despite the usual, how would you call it, reservations that they would have had towards cloud and not implemented cloud solutions, they were helped so rapidly that they would have never thought it would work, and that has really installed this consciousness. So this consciousness that they need to prepare for heavy load, and that there is more sustainability in the minds of the decision takers in the organization. So that has really changed the mindset.
Was there anything specific about the teacher being left alone in front of how do we transition?
Oh yeah, so well, to be honest, many institutions just built. So they had material, but they built a lot of courses just from scratch to support teachers who had never taught online before, for example. But there were teachers who were just complaining in some organizations that the solutions would not be accessible. So they were trying to use the systems and the systems were overloaded, so they could not use them. So the sooner they built out the sustainability of having a cloud-based solution, the professors were they went silent again because they were basically using the systems. But there was a big surge of complaints in the support staff of the different organizations with professors that basically could not use the systems at all. But they had, I think, had they 40% of professors teaching distance and online before, they would have now come to 75, 80% to move full distance. Some disappeared, so some instructors really disappeared. So that is also one of the experience that institutions have made. But there is the percentage of instructors who now teach fully online, who are able to teach fully online, has definitely increased.
At the end of the day, that's one of the few positive change that this pandemic have created, right? Making sure that this digital transformation got accelerated and allowing some teachers to touch on technology in a very different and very pragmatic way.
I've talked to colleagues in the German-speaking area and also in France, and the basic feedback was that it is a bit disappointing that things that we've talked 15 or 20 years ago of implementing digital solutions in universities has only now reached the instructors, so the professors, and the leads, the academic leads of some organizations, because they were basically talking about the same concepts that we were talking 15 years ago. So that was really the disappointing piece of that. But all the more, the people are happy that they are able to use distance learning now, and that's e-learning has been implemented. So when I look back to the University of Vienna, a large-scale organization with formerly 85,000 students, we've implemented a concept that was called blended learning in a strategy project back in the day that started 2003, where professors actually got credits if they offered a course as an e-learning course, and we just trained all the staff of the organization and built out multipliers back in the day, and I think this has completely changed. Yeah.
So I think that this leads us to almost to the end of the session. So we would like to thank you very much for attending this session. I hope that some of the components we've been providing are meaningful. Just to summarize, we try to articulate the whole idea of why data is fundamental and why technology and data are changing the world to drive success. We compare it with the retail industry, and then we drill down to what it means from an institution, a school, a university, to try to cover it up and explain a little bit further why technology and data could help to drive success at all layers, from the student standpoint of view, from a teacher standpoint of view, and of course, an institution standpoint of view. We, of course, remain available to any kind of ID, comments, a question you may have. And it was a real pleasure to be spending that time with you and looking forward to hearing from you very soon. Thank you very much, Annabell.